spicy. Jimmy Garoppolo on there could be a benefit, but have they kind of burned that bridge?
We'll say this. Gardner Minshew is the best backup in the NFL.
I love Gardner. Welcome to 30 Minutes of Football with Legit Football. I am your host, Brian McFadden. It is Tuesday, November 29th, which means it's Power Rankings Day. I'm joined as always by Jimmy Ray from NFL Stats on Twitter at NFL_stats. Thanksgiving in the books. We're now in the real part of the season, Jimmy, because the football season, it doesn't start until after Thanksgiving, right?
Yeah, pretty much. At this point, you kind of know. Well, at least you'd think you'd know where some teams are, but yeah, this is where it starts to get a little juicy, where we start seeing playoff seeding coming into effect and stuff. So it's a lot more fun.
We're finally seeing some of these teams that maybe won a lot of games to start the season. We're seeing them come back down to earth a little bit. We're seeing who these teams really are, and I think we're getting a more definitive picture when we do these rankings. I don't know if you feel that way. I'm finding it a little bit easier than maybe I did earlier in the year. It's like. They go there, they go there, they go there. We will still have people that disagree with us on Twitter. That's the nature of the game.
I think after like week 7 or 8, I kind of was like, okay, I know like some of these teams are going to be at the bottom, some of these teams are going to be at the top, some in the middle. So I still kind of have that issue where like the tiers, I kind of have them broken down into tiers, but in between those tiers, I'm still wishy-washy on some of the picks.
Well, most of the teams at the top won. Most of the teams at the bottom lost.
Yeah, right.
So there's really just a little bit of... maybe it was just this week that was easy. But let's get into it. Let's go ahead. Our producer, Anthony Wayner, behind the scenes, put up that timer. Let's jump into this. 30 minutes of football with Legit Football. Week 13. 13 already. Power Rankings draft starts now. Jimmy, let's jump right into it. I believe you had 32 last time, correct?
Yeah. I think you did last time.
All right, so let's go. That's right.
Because Anthony did the time before, so then it...
Correct. Thank you for reminding me. A lot of Thanksgiving drinks and food still coursing through my blood. Let's hear number 32, Jimmy.
No surprise here. The Houston Texans I have at number 32. They had 36 total yards in the first half. They had some points scored in the second half against the Dolphins' second-string team, basically. But they're going to be down here, so not much to say. Kyle Allen got his first start. Not much different.
They didn't look any better than they did under Davis Mills. You might as well go with Davis Mills at this point. Like, what's the harm? We know who Kyle Allen is. Davis Mills, maybe there's a little more tape. Is he worth being your backup next year? I think they should keep rolling. Let's not spend any more time on Houston. Number 31, unchanged from last week, the Denver Broncos. I think the question now becomes, because Russ isn't going anywhere, is there any chance Nathaniel Hackett is the coach of Denver in 2023?
I think there's somewhat of a chance, one because it's its first season. I don't foresee it happening. If I had to place a bet, I think he'd be gone. But it is his first season. I think sometimes coaches are given a couple seasons to figure out, but with the team he has, it's hard to say that.
Yeah, and sometimes or rarely you don't get this kind of new ownership situation. So I think that's the wild card here is these people didn't hire him. You know, the Walton Group that bought this, they didn't. This is not their pick. So if there's any situation where he's one and done, I think we might be looking at it here. Let's keep on rolling. Let's not spend too much time on these bottom dweller teams. Number 30, Jimmy.
We got a West Coast team, the Los Angeles Rams, the Super Bowl reigning champions. I don't know if a Super Bowl champion team has fallen this hard in recent years. I was thinking about that the other day, and it's happened here and there, but this team is just is fallen very low. They haven't scored more than 20 points in their last 5 games, which have all been losses. Matthew Stafford's gone. Cooper Kupp is gone. Allen Robinson's going to be gone the rest of the season. Now Aaron Donald has an injury, I believe, too, so I don't know what the deal is there. They might as well not play him at this point, but I mean, there's 6 games that they have left, but they'd have to win out to make the playoffs, which I don't think
for what
it's not going to happen.
It's not going to happen. Yeah. I heard a stat last week, and of course they lost, so this should still be true, that they are the worst team at this point in the season defending Super Bowl champion as far as record-wise. The worst. fall from grace. That is insane.
Jeez.
They don't deserve any more of our time. Let's go on to number 29. Chicago Bears. They're at least spicy. They're fun to watch when they have Justin Fields. When they did not have Justin Fields, they have Trevor Siemian at quarterback going up against the New York Jets. They made the Jets look like world beaters. Defense couldn't stop Mike White. Offense had one touchdown, but that was it. Moved the ball a little bit against a good Jets defense. I hope Fields comes back and makes this team more watchable, but yeah, they're already looking towards 2023 here.
Yeah. I mean, the Bears fans got a future look at what it could be without Justin Fields. So I'm sure they're even happier to have Justin Fields at this point, just because he makes it more competitive, even if they have lost close games with him. So for my next pick, I have my team right here. They're falling pretty low for me. Yeah, down here. I'm done putting them any higher than this at this point, especially with the next couple games. They have the Cowboys and then a bye week and then the Vikings. So I think they're going to end up down here anyway. So let's just put them down here. I don't think they're going to win against either of those teams. They're poor time management at the end of the game. The first half was very bad once again on the offensive side of the ball. Nothing has really changed with Jeff Saturday coming in, I feel like. And the running game, I mean, it's all right. Jonathan Taylor's good. It's just they pass it a lot too for some reason. They don't just give Jonathan Taylor the ball 24/7. I think the game plan wise, I just don't know if they know exactly what they want to do on offense. I don't know. It's bad.
I think the interim coach bounce that they got is already gone. The offensive line played really badly again. Couldn't move the ball. Yeah. Matt Ryan under pressure constantly. Multiple fumbles. One bad one that he lost when they were going in, to score. I won't make you suffer anymore. I had them at 24. I didn't put them down at 28, but that's I think that's your suffering fandom speaking there. Let's
I just see. Yeah, I think they're gonna be 4-8-1 after a few weeks. So.
All right, so let's keep on rolling. Here's a team that won and got to move up a couple spots, but I think, they only beat the number 31 team. Steve Wilks as interim head coach. Talk about interim head coach bounces 3-3. So good for you. The Carolina Panthers move into number 27. Sam Darnold. I don't for one second believe that he's going to be a thing, but they'll take whatever they can get. They'll take whatever wins they can get in Carolina. Let's keep on rolling. Let's go to number 26, Jimmy.
I get it. Rolling. Sam Darnold. I saw that. I was about to make a joke. That was a fun touchdown. But okay, for my next pick, I have the Pittsburgh Steelers, who just came off a win against the Colts. You might have had them a little higher.
I did.
How far I had the Colts down and the close game that the Steelers had against the Colts. Kenny Pickett, I think, had one of his better games as a Steeler. I think he made some
especially in the
pretty
first
clutch throws. Right. I think he made some pretty clutch throws towards the end of the game as well that helped them secure the win. And then Benny Snell came in and played well for Najee Harris, who came out of the game, I think, in the second quarter. But I think they'll still be down here. TJ Watt played. He didn't really have much of an impact that I felt. His name wasn't called too much. He probably got some more pressures than I realized. But what did you have him?
I had them at 22. They still got to win, and there's a lot of teams ahead of them that did not win that have around the same record. And one of those teams is the Arizona Cardinals. And I just have a feeling they're just going to keep dropping. This Kingsbury thing is this is not new to me. I keep saying it. They at least normally they start hot and then they fade. But this year they've started poorly and they continue to be poor. They got Hollywood Brown back. DeAndre Hopkins has been great since he came back. Doesn't matter. At the end of the day, they still lost to they blew a lead against the Chargers team. I haven't watched any of the Hard Knocks because the Cardinals just don't excite me. Let's just move to 24. Yeah. I don't want to talk about Arizona anymore. No, exactly.
Kyler Murray said it best. They're schematically bleeped up. So, if once your QB starts saying that in the press conferences, it's pretty bad. For my next one, I have a team who was shut out for the first time since 2001, the New Orleans Saints. They're falling a little bit for us this week. They only had 63 rushing yards. Alvin Kamara fumbled a couple times. They're not going to win, especially with Andy Dalton at quarterback when stuff like that happens. The defense didn't play too bad, but they 13-0. So that's just not much to say with them.
Yeah, I had them at 26. Dennis Allen, I don't know how much longer they should keep him as head coach. This is now his second head coaching job, and he's been bad at both places. The good news for the Saints is they're only one win behind the Bucs in that dreadful division, which is crazy.
Yeah.
Let's move to number 23. I'm going to go ahead and put the Aaron Rodgers led Packers. He said today on McAfee's show that the scans came back positive for his like a good thing, because positive, negative, and X-rays and all that.
Right.
Anyway, he said he's going to play against the Bears. They'll probably beat the Bears, but I kind of liked Jordan Love. I liked how he looked at the end of that game, so I'm a little disappointed that we don't get to see that. I got fooled briefly by their victory over the Cowboys, not falling for it again. 23 seems like a good spot for the Packers.
Yeah, I think that's a good spot too. For my next pick, I think some of these people might have had this team a little higher. I had them at 23, the Jacksonville Jaguars, who came off a win against the Baltimore Ravens.
We have some discrepancies this week, Jimmy.
Yeah, that's fine. Yeah, I mean, they had a pretty good game against the Ravens. I think the Ravens are kind of falling, and I think we'll see that in the power rankings. They have a lot of question marks on their offensive side of the ball, their passing game. But I think Trevor Lawrence did play well down the stretch, and I think they did come in clutch at the end of the game, but they did almost lose the game as well. I did move them up a couple spots from my last week's power rankings, but if they keep pulling off wins, for sure, I'll keep moving them up. But I guess you probably had them a little higher.
I think they've lost every single one of their losses by single digits, I believe. They had the graphic on the game on Sunday, but this is a team that's been competitive, and they've had chances to win. They just haven't been able to pull it off. Well, this time they did. They came back from down 10 points to the Ravens, which is something about Ravens and 10-point leads. And Trevor Lawrence looked maybe the best he has in his career toward down the stretch there to make those come back. The throws he was making, the Marvin Jones touchdown, Zay Jones, everything. So I had them at 19, but that's how the draft works. So let's keep on rolling. 21, I'm going to go ahead and put the Atlanta Falcons. Losing to the Commanders, once again, as long as Mariota's this quarterback, there's nothing that exciting about this team. I would love to see Desmond Ridder before the year's up, but they're still in the NFC South race, so that probably won't happen. I don't know why they didn't just run the ball in at the end with Cordero Patterson. They're a giant athletic freak of a running back. Instead, they've got Mariota throwing, and he throws an interception to seal the loss for them. Nothing else to say. Let's hear 20.
Yeah, I could have swapped them as well. I was back and forth on those two teams. I could have had a 21, a 22, but I had the Falcons around there as well. For my next pick, I have the Cleveland Browns coming off a win against the Buccaneers. Jacoby Brissett goes out on top. Obviously, Nick Chubb had over 100 yards. He had the past couple games he had combined 80 yards, so he had 100 yards this game, which is kind of the scheme of success for them with Jacoby Brissett at quarterback, who has been playing solid, I think. But Deshaun Watson comes in now, so we'll see if he can continue to give them. We know he's a great fantasy quarterback. He struggled in the preseason, but I don't think we should look at that too much. He'll be rusty, I'm sure, but we'll see how they do.
There has to be rust. The guy hasn't played competitive football in 2 years. He's got all of the psychological stuff that he's dealt with, which is deserved. Let's just put that out there.
Yeah,
I like Jacoby
100%.
Brissett. I liked cheering for Jacoby Brissett. Now I have no interest in the Browns. I just want them to lose every game. But I like, David Njoku, what a catch. Amari Cooper's been a great story. A fantastic year he's having. And Chubb, of course, is amazing. Now we got to watch Watson. And they get the Texans first, too, so they're going to win that game. All right, number 19. I'm going to go ahead and put the Raiders. 2 wins in a row, 2 overtime walk-off touchdowns in a row. Josh Jacobs, we found out that he injured the calf, didn't practice much last week, was questionable to play, played, re-injured it, went back in the game, and what does he do? He just walks off 86 yards in overtime. Wow, I just love that. Still had some questions. The Raiders defense outside of Max Crosby is still not good, but this is a fun team, and I give bonus to fun teams, and they're 2 wins in a row. They should have beat the Colts before that, so they're competitive. They're gonna play with teams. They've only had 1 bad loss this year. Who do you have? Quick thoughts on the Raiders, because I think they're gonna be one of those teams. And then
Josh Jacobs, he's one of 5 running backs to have 300 plus yards from scrimmage in a single game. That's absurd.
Jeez.
That's absurd. I think
Superhuman.
first running back ever to have 225 plus rushing yards, 75 plus receiving yards, and he's obviously a running back still, but he's going to get a payday this offseason if he's healthy and everything goes right. So good for him. Awesome.
And so good for my fantasy team. I traded for him in one of my redraft leagues. I've won 5 out of my last 6. Thank you, Josh Jacobs. Let's hear 18 from you, Jimmy.
All right, I have the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. There's a lot of question marks coming in. I know I have the Browns below them, but I still have some more faith in the Bucs at this point. But Todd Bowles just he has a lot of question marks. He said in his press conference after the game that he was concerned about Tom Brady throwing an interception at the game, which he never does. He played pretty conservatively at the end of the game, and it didn't help them. And I just don't know what's going on with him.
We thought they might have turned the corner. They didn't turn a corner. If you can't beat the Browns, a team that the Dolphins put nearly 40 points on, it's not looking good. Their one saving grace is, once again, like these other NFC South teams, is they play in a horrible division, so they can have a losing record, and still be in first and on pace for a home playoff game. But yeah, serious concerns for this team going forward.
Did you have the Browns above them?
I did not, but I had the Bucs much higher. That's probably the talent effect. They're still a talented team. It's just not
they are
clicking.
Still, yeah.
That the fact that a Tom Brady led team can blow a lead the way they did, that's surprising to me. Let's keep on rolling. Hey, Anthony, how about the fact that your Lions are going to be ahead of the Tom Brady led Buccaneers in our power rankings? I believe we had them right around here last week. I didn't think I could. I didn't think I could really drop them. Oh, so they're going to move up a spot because of your Bucs placing, but that's okay. They nearly beat my Super Bowl preseason favorite, most people's preseason Super Bowl favorites in the Buffalo Bills. You can't really be down as a Lions fan with the effort that they gave on Thanksgiving Day, even though they came up with the L. You still got to love this Lions team.
Yeah,
that's
Jared Goff playing
Jimmy,
really
go.
well. Jared Goff playing really well. Amon-Ra St. Brown, he's a number 1 wide receiver for him. Jamal Williams, he's leading the league. He'll get a rushing touchdown every game. So that's you can put the touchdown prop on. What was that?
Yeah, definitely going to veto whatever that was for halftime. That is not a sound that I want to hear again. I think Jimmy is in agreement with me there. But yes,
I got scared.
Right when we're talking nice about his Lions, Anthony's got to come in with some weird drop to just throw us off. We'll make this quick, guys. As always, make sure to go to legitfootball.com if you don't already. Sign up for our free daily NFL newsletter. We curate the top 6 stories of the day. We send them to your inbox every morning, 5 days a week, all year long. We'll also summarize all the injuries. We do the work, so you don't have to. Legitfootball.com. Make sure to sign up today. Jimmy, let everybody know where they can find your stuff.
At NFL_stats. You can see it somewhere right here. But we have 6 weeks left of the regular season, so gearing up for the playoff stats. We're getting close. You'll see a lot of playoff seeding and kind of scenarios on there and stats leading up to the playoffs. 6 weeks left of the regular season, so we're almost there.
All right, that works for me. I see the behind the scenes. I see the timer continuing to go. And now Anthony is grabbing it. You guys can't see that, but the timer is down to 13 minutes. Now he's got to fix it.
Give us time, Anthony.
I'm just going to jump in. Let him fix it. Let's go ahead and get into the second half. Number 16, Jimmy.
All right. I have the New England Patriots at 16 coming off a loss against the Vikings, which honestly was a pretty close game. I think Mac Jones played fairly well. He put up some good stats and
probably his best game of the year, I would say. Yeah.
Right. That was a pretty good game. The whole game as a whole got overshadowed by the questionable touchdown call, or non-touchdown call, I should say, at the end of the game with Hunter Henry. There was I've looked at it 100 times. I honestly still can't make up my mind on it. So I'm not gonna be like, I'm not gonna go one way or the other on this. You can if you want to. You're more than welcome. But I think the call, I believe it stood. So there's just not enough evidence either way.
Yeah, it was not clear cut either way. If I had to lean one way, I would have leaned that it was a catch. It looked like his hands were, or at the very least, It should have been placed at the half-yard line, because it looked like maybe he loses it for a second, but then he regains it. and it's a catch as opposed to just calling it incomplete. That part I didn't agree with. I had the Patriots at 16, so this is right around where I had them. I picked them to beat the Vikings. That's more a reflection of I didn't believe the Vikings. I thought the Patriots defense could do a better job. Surprised that their defense and special teams actually ended up costing them this game against Minnesota instead of their offense. But also that last drive, Mac Jones, they had a chance. He kind of turned into old Mac Jones there. But other than that last drive, Mac Jones and the offense actually looked really good. Let's go ahead and put the New York Football Giants still with a nice record, still sitting in a playoff spot at this point. The entire NFC East, which is a division that has had trouble over the past years, is in the playoffs right now. They're still sitting there, but we've now seen them lose a couple games in a row. I think the shine is finally wearing off on them. Saquon Barkley is not producing. That was 80% of their offense in the first half of the year. They're not winning these close games anymore. They've been handled now by Dallas twice. So we might see them drop a little bit more before the year's up.
Yeah, they have a few injuries to the offensive line as well, so that doesn't help the fact that Saquon Barkley can't produce as well as he has in the past. I think he's still a great running back, and he'll show that throughout the rest of the weeks. But yeah, they're going downhill a little bit, losing 3 out of the last 4, so they're gonna go down in the power rankings, easy as that. So, but they did cover against the Cowboys. So,
that was because Brett Maher missed a easy field goal. He should have hit the field goal. I don't put that on the Giants. And then they scored a garbage time touchdown. All right, let's keep it real. Clearly, I picked the Cowboys to cover there. Jimmy, let's hear it from.
All right, for my next pick, another team that's kind of falling away, the Seattle Seahawks, coming off of overtime loss against the Raiders. Their defense, I feel like, is just holding them back in some ways. They're 28th in points per game allowed this season. They have some playmakers on the defensive side of the ball as well. They get some turnovers. Tariq Woolen, Kobe Bryant. Other guys on the defensive side of the ball, but I mean, when you let up 300 yards from scrimmage against Josh Jacobs, it's just not looking great. And I don't think the offense played great as well. Kenneth Walker had a couple touchdowns, but they only had 60 yards.
He hasn't been doing great rushing. A couple things. So the defense started the year one of the worst in the NFL. Then they had like a 4-game stretch where they were actually probably like a top 10 defense. Now it looks like they've kind of regressed back. But from fantasy purposes, Kenneth Walker's still scoring, but he's not really putting up a lot of rushing yards. That's problematic. But Geno's still looking good. He's still making some throws. I had the Seahawks at 15, so right around here. Number 13, speaking of the NFC East, all you had to do was put Taylor Heinicke in at quarterback, and this is a team who I think we had as low as 30 or 31 at one point, Jimmy. We now have them at number 13. They've won either 5 of 6 or 6 of 7, something like that. They are also, as we mentioned, in the playoff hunt right now. They would be the 7th seed if the season ended now. The defense is playing great. The secondary is playing better. The pass rush is one of the best in the NFL. This defense won this game against the Falcons. Literally, they stopped them at the goal line. They got the interception of Mariota to seal the game. The run game, Brian Robinson with over 100 yards and a touchdown. A lot to like about Washington right now.
Yeah, they're 5-1 with Taylor Heinicke as a starter, and Brian Robinson or Antonio Gibson. I feel like one of them has a decent game. At least the past couple weeks, it's been Antonio Gibson, and then Brian Robinson had a 100-yard game. And then you have Terry McLaurin catching balls from Taylor Heinicke. I mean, it's been nice since Carson Wentz got injured. Unfortunately, I feel bad for him a little bit, but not really, because Taylor Heinicke is really fun to watch.
Yeah, I don't feel that.
Sorry. Yeah, no. You don't have, I was trying to be nice. All right, so for my next pick, I have the Los Angeles Chargers coming off a ballsy win against the Cardinals, going for 2 at the very end, getting that touchdown. I believe it was Gerald Everett that caught the 2-point conversion as well. So that's happened twice this week with 2-point conversions, winning it for a couple teams. So that's
by the way,
really
kudos.
Fun football to watch.
Kudos to Doug Peterson. Kudos to Brandon Staley for making those calls and then executing them. I love seeing that. Less than 15 seconds in both games.
Yeah, but the Cardinals couldn't get any points in the fourth quarter, and obviously, if you give Justin Herbert that many opportunities, he will go down and score. He had a really solid game. He's been playing really well, and that's what the Chargers need and look for in their QB. And that's why the QB is one of the most prized positions, the most prized position in football.
All right, let's keep on rolling. Number 11 with Mike White at quarterback. This looks like an entirely different offense. I know that they were playing the Bears. I know that And it doesn't matter who's playing quarter, but if you had Zach Wilson in this game, they would not have scored 41 points. Plain and simple. Mike White works in this offense, the Shanahan offense run by Mike LaFleur. Get the ball out quick to your playmakers. Garrett Wilson is an absolute stud. Elijah Moore, hey, remember that guy? He scored a touchdown here. They did lose Michael Carter to injury, but it didn't matter. 41-10. The Mike White era is here in New York, at least probably for the rest of this season. Yeah, just outside of the top 10, New York Jets. Come and get it.
Yeah, Mike White started 4 games for the Jets. 2 of them, he has 3 passing touchdowns. Zach Wilson hasn't done that yet. So Zach Wilson might have looked all right against the Bears, but he wouldn't have looked Mike White good. You know what I'm saying? So Mike White is a legend right now. No, he's fine. But for my next pick, I have the Baltimore Ravens falling. I don't know what it is. My roommate's a Ravens fan as well, and he was not happy with the game. He just had a feeling the entire game that they were going to end up losing. Justin Tucker was so close to hitting that 67-yarder. I thought
it was in. Yeah.
Oh my gosh, I thought it was going in, but
it was dead set. It was dead in the middle. Yeah. Oh, if he had enough leg on that, I mean, that thing would have split the uprights.
Yeah, but obviously Trevor Lawrence played really well against him and was throwing bombs everywhere when they needed it to, and the defense didn't hold up against them. But their passing offense, I just don't feel like is up to par, and some Ravens fans are calling for the offensive coordinator's head.
Greg Roman.
Greg Roman. I was thinking of his name, but they just can't get it figured out on the offensive side of the ball. So.
Yeah, I had them at 9. I was debating between them and this other team. Both teams lost. The other one being the Tennessee Titans. Titans lost to obviously a much better team in Cincinnati than Jacksonville. But I still like this Ravens team. Their biggest weakness is their lack of weapons. Right? We thought Demarcus Robinson could be a guy. Like, he dropped a crucial pass in this one. Mark Andrews hasn't been as good as he has been in certainly last year. Running game hasn't been as good. I actually think Lamar is playing pretty well. He's not putting up major numbers, but he's playing well enough to win. On the Tennessee side, I think if you can shut down Derrick Henry and you have a good enough defense to limit Tannehill in the passing game, which doesn't take a lot, you don't need a top 5 pass defense, then that's how you shut down this Titans team, and that's exactly what Cincinnati did. I think Derrick Henry had another one of those games, which he's prone to, where he had like 2.6 yards per carry, and Tannehill, and that offense is just not good enough to overcome it. They lose 20-16 to the Bengals. I think that's a preview of what we might see from Tennessee in the playoffs.
Right, I couldn't agree with you more, and I had the Bengals right above them as well at number 8. So you can throw them up there. The Bengals, they're on a 3-game win streak, I believe, without Ja'Marr Chase, and Ja'Marr Chase is expected to come back. T. Higgins is really good. He flourishes as number 1 wide receiver when he needs to come through for him. But they also haven't allowed a touchdown in the second half in 8 of their 11 games this season. The past few games, this past game they didn't allow a touchdown. The few games before that, they had a couple games where they did, but I think the first 7 or 8 games of the season, they didn't allow a second half touchdown, and that's going to win your games when you have Joe Burrow, Ja'Marr Chase, and the offensive weapons that you have. So. Something's going right on their defensive adjustments in the second half.
Yeah, remember what we thought, and maybe you didn't, I'm assuming here, but I used to think Zach Taylor was a bust and that he was not going to be a good coach. Whatever he has done, whatever he has found is working. This Bengals team, like you said, they come out hotter in the second half. They're playing great football. They didn't have Mixon or Chase. Didn't matter against one of the top teams in the AFC right now. I had the Bengals at 7. I had them ahead of this next team. I had them ahead of Minnesota because I think right now, if the Vikings are playing the Bengals, I don't care if it's in Minnesota or if it's in Cincinnati, I'm picking the Bengals. I think they're a better team. I think they're more well-rounded. I think the Vikings got exposed against the Cowboys, and we just have some recency bias that they won, but they barely won against the Patriots, a team that's, kind of middle of the road. But that's what the Power Rankings drafts has. So I think we're going to see Minnesota lose some more games. But the good news for them is I think they're eligible to clinch this week, correct?
Yes, they are. I think they need to win. I think there's a lot. I think the Lions need to lose or something like that.
I think it's just those two. I think if they win and Detroit loses, Minnesota clinches the NFC North in week 13, which is insane.
Jeez.
So that's the good thing for them.
Lions are 4-7.
But hopefully for Anthony's sake, the Lions win and he gets to keep the hope going a little bit longer. But the defense really has issues that are going to come to haunt them come playoff time because they couldn't slow down Mac Jones in this pedestrian Patriots offense. The Justin Jefferson is otherworldly. I mean, that's what they've relied on. Dalvin Cook's giving them a spark when they need it. TJ Hawkinson making plays. But, man, that defense is going to be a liability come playoff time. But right now, hey, you're cruising. You won another game. You're on your way to a division title. 3.5 minutes left. Jimmy, let's close this thing out strong.
All right, I have the San Francisco 49ers. Their defense hasn't allowed a second-half touchdown in 4 straight games. Which is insane. They haven't allowed a single point in the second half in 4 straight games, which is even crazier. Their defense is out of this world. That's what you saw against the Saints in the shutout that they played against them. Jimmy G played all right. Their offense didn't play phenomenal, but when you have a defense like that, they have a lot of different ways to win. So that's just what it comes down to, and I think they're one of the better teams in the NFL right now.
I read something that they were tired and jet lagged, and they got back Monday morning from Mexico and with all the altitude.
Yeah.
And that's why they came out sluggish, and it didn't matter. They still found a way to win. They still won 13-0. I am super excited about this weekend because they're playing the Dolphins. I will be at that game at Levi's Stadium. Personally, I hope that their trend of no points in the second half does not continue unless the Dolphins have a huge lead, that it doesn't matter. I don't think that will be the case. I haven't dug into my preview yet, but my instinct, just to be honest, is to pick the Niners to win this game in a close battle with McDaniels returning. But I haven't dug into it yet, so we'll see. Number 5, Dallas Cowboys. So much better than we thought they would be to start the year. I don't even know if they need Odell. Like, it's working really well right now. Michael Gallup, I think, is finally returning, and he's looking almost like his old self. CD is finally looking like a true wide receiver one.
So
Dak's
good.
playing fantastic. This defense, especially Micah Parsons, just incredible. Trevon Diggs is playing better than he did last year, even though he doesn't have the interceptions as far as being a shutdown corner. A lot to like about this Cowboys team, setting up nice for the playoff run.
Yeah, and we argued about this last week. I kept it the same this week. I had the Dolphins behind them. But it can go either way.
I get to put them ahead this time.
I know. And once I saw that coming, I was like, hey, we all get our turns. So it'll all come to fruition eventually. But yeah, the Cowboys are playing phenomenal. There's not much to say about that. It was a solid win against a divisional opponent and keeping up with the Eagles, trying to at least. But yeah, Micah Parsons, 6 games with 2+ sacks this season. Every other game, he doesn't have any sacks. So if he gets one, just place a bet if you can on the second sack because it's going to come. So yeah, I already said my next pick. My next pick's going to be the Miami Dolphins. They had such an easy win against the Texans. I mean, that's expected. And the first half was basically the entire game. The second half wasn't too much. It's nice to see Scotty Thompson out there.
To their credit, it was not just it was pure domination. Like that's what you're supposed to do with teams
100%.
like that. So we have to give them credit that they did the offense to defense. There was something like 35 offensive yards halfway through the second quarter for the Texans.
Yeah.
So the defense played great too. They're peaking at the right time.
Yeah, I mean the Texans had 36 total yards in the first half. So
the whole first half. There you go.
It's incredible. Yeah.
Yeah. Insane. Before we got 10 seconds left, Anthony, why don't you throw 2 more minutes on overtime once we get there?
Please. 2-minute warning.
2-minute warning. There you go. 2-minute warning. All right. So I had the Dolphins at 3 because once again, they beat this team early in the season. And as long as they're at the same record and they're first in the division, I'm going to put them. But there's the draft for you. So I'm going to go ahead and put the Buffalo Bills up there. Still seeing some weaknesses from Josh Allen, still making some of those plays that could haunt them later in the year. They're still suffering from injuries on the defensive side of the ball, but they found the running game a little bit better lately, which is promising. They still found a way to win this game against a good and surging Lions team, so we can't really knock them here. They found a way to win on Thanksgiving. They'll be fine come playoff time.
Yeah, and the Bills are. Yeah, I agree with you 100%. I think it's more so of the fact that I trust that they'll find their way, and they'll by the time playoffs come, they'll show out and show they're one of the best teams in the AFC. And I hope that the Bills and Dolphins play each other at some point because that'd be an amazing game.
Well, they do. They're in the AFC East. They play each other again.
Well, there you go.
There you go. All right, let's get your number 2 and therefore number 1 and close out the last minute here.
All right, I have the Philadelphia Eagles at number 2. Jalen Hurts. He was running all over the Packers. He had 100 yards in the first quarter, which was absolutely insane. It didn't feel like the Packers were ready for Jalen Hurts to run the ball, which if they watched the Colts game, that they should have been prepared for something like that because he won the game on his feet.
Him and Sanders had over 100 yards or 300 yards, just the two of them, rushing. It was something like 300 yards rushing just from Miles Sanders.
Yeah,
and
they
Jalen
had like
Hurts.
they had like 350 something. They had more rushing yards than the Packers had total offense. So I mean,
it's crazy.
That'll do it. So they knew they found a way to win, and they went to that. So you just got to keep going with your strategy if it's working. So
we had questions about the Eagles the last 2 weeks, but this was a dominant performance. They showed just how good they can be. Quickly, we don't need to talk about the Chiefs much. They were not, and their A game. Mahomes threw an end zone interception. Didn't matter. Still won 26-10 against the Rams. The Chiefs are the best team in the NFL. As long as they keep playing like that, they're going to have the number 1 seed in the AFC, and it should come down to them and the Bills cruising towards the Super Bowl from the AFC. Yeah. There was no gong, Anthony. I don't know what happened to the gong. Hearing the gong in my head, but that is our power rankings. Let's quickly go through them for the audio-only listeners. 32 Texans, 31 Broncos, 30 Rams, 29 Bears, 28 Jimmy's Colts, 27 Panthers, 26 Steelers, 25 Cardinals, 24 Saints, 23 Packers, 22 Jaguars, 21 Falcons, 20 Cleveland Browns, so long Jacoby Brissett, 19 Las Vegas Raiders, 18 Bucks, 17 Anthony's Lions, 16 Patriots, 15 Giants, 14 Seahawks, 13 the Commandos, 12 Chargers, 11 Jets, 10 Ravens, 9 Titans, 8 Bengals, 7 Vikings, 6 San Francisco 49ers, 5 Cowboys, 4 my Miami Dolphins, go Dolphins this weekend against the Niners, 3 Bills, 2 Eagles, and 1 the Kansas City Chiefs. Any last thoughts before we wrap up our power rankings and look ahead towards Week 13, Jimmy?
Hey, have fun at that Dolphins 49ers game. I wish I was there too. I'm going to the Colts Chargers game, so that's going to be just as fun, right?
There you go. Sure.
Yeah,
sure. Why not? You'll get to see Justin Herbert in person. Hopefully, there's some fantasy implications there for you. Guys, thank you so much for listening and watching. Our schedule might change a little bit. We will not be doing, I'm probably still going to do a show on Thursday. It will not be with Pro Football Demon, though. He's got some scheduling things, holiday season, all of that. We will have our Game Pick show on Friday, so just kind of stay tuned to see what we do. I'm going to have something on Thursday, whether it's we do some fantasy questions or we preview the week ahead. Make sure to check out Legit Football. As always, legitfootball.com. Sign up for our free daily email. Check out NFL Stats on Twitter at NFL_stats. He's nonstop giving you all the stats you need to know. I find it invaluable, even if I didn't know this guy and podcasted with him every week. And, of course, thank you to Anthony Wayner, our producer behind the scenes. Appreciate you guys tuning in. Don't forget to like and subscribe and all that good stuff if this is your first time here. This has been 30 Minutes of Football with Legit Football. We'll see you later in the week. That's spicy. Jimmy Garoppolo on there could be a benefit, but have they kind of burned that bridge?
We'll say this. Gardner Minshew is the best backup in the NFL.
I love Gardner.